In this video, we're going to look at what we mean by the word noun. So, what are nouns? Well, nouns are one of the 9 parts of speech, and here they are in alphabetical order. The one that we'll be looking at today is nouns. So let's get rid of that. A noun names something. It's the word we use for something that lets us talk about it. Here's a definition for noun. A noun is a word that represents a person, place, or thing. Person might be a girl, place might be a house, the thing might be a pear. Let's put up some more examples. Person might be a man, an emperor, a fireman. The place might be a city, an office, a mountain. The word thing covers everything else, such as an object, like an axe, or an animal, like a tortoise, or an idea, like bravery. All of those other things you can see and touch, but the idea you can't. But you still need a word to be able to talk about it. So equality, kindness. Now we'll talk about what type of nouns these are later. Now all of the words in red are common nouns. Notice that they're all written with a lowercase letter. There is another type of noun, and it's a proper noun. Here's an example. You might recognize this man as the inventor Thomas Edison, or this emperor as Julius Caesar, and this fireman might be called Sam. So these words in blue are proper nouns, and they're the given names, usually personal names or titles, to make the word more specific. So this city is Berlin. This office block might be called the Lego Tower. This is an icon of Mount Fuji in Japan. This axe could be called Old Faithful, or this tortoise might be called Speedy. Now these concepts, these ideas like bravery and equality and kindness, these tend not to have associated proper nouns. But you can. So theory, for example, a proper noun might be the theory of relativity, and that would be written with capital letters. So notice that the proper nouns have capital letters. So the ones in blue are proper nouns. So that's 2 different categories of noun. Now let's get rid of most of that. I'm going to leave these 3 common nouns up because we're going to use those in a minute. Okay, here they are. There are other types of noun. A noun can be further classified depending on what it means or how it is structured. For example, a noun might be an abstract noun, and that's something you cannot see or touch. Remember, we had bravery, we had kindness, we had equality. Or a concrete noun, that's the opposite of an abstract noun. That's something you can see or touch or perceive with one of your 5 senses. There are collective nouns, and these represent groups of things. There are compound nouns, and this is all about the structure of the word. It's how the word is made up. If it's made up of 2 or more words, then it's a compound noun. A countable noun, something you can count. In other words, something that has a plural form. A non-countable noun, the opposite, has no plural form. Like that word bravery. That's a non-countable noun. And you have gender-specific nouns, and these are things that are specifically male or female. So let's look at the word mountain. Well, it's not an abstract noun. You can see a mountain. That means it must be a concrete noun. It's not a collective noun. It doesn't represent a group of things. It's not made up of 2 or more words, and it does have a plural form, making it a countable noun. That means it can't be a non-countable noun. and it's not gender specific. So the word mountain is a common noun, because we know it's not a proper noun. It's also a concrete noun and a countable noun. So now let's look at bravery. Well, you can't see or touch it, so it's an abstract noun. That means it can't be a concrete noun. It doesn't represent a group of things, and it's not made up of two or more words. It doesn't have a plural form, which means it must be a non-countable noun, and it's not gender specific. So the word bravery is a common noun. It's also an abstract noun and a non-countable noun. Let's look at fireman. Well, you can see firemen, so that makes it a concrete noun. It's not a collective noun, it's not a group of things. But it is a compound noun because it's made up of two or more words. It's made up of fire and man. We'll come back to that in a moment. It is a countable noun because it has a plural form, firemen. That means it can't be a non-countable noun. And it is gender specific. A fireman is always a male. You can have a firewoman or a firefighter for the neutral version. So here's another example of a compound noun, water bottle. That's made up of two words. Notice this time it's two separate words. And this, ice axe, this time it's two separate words, but they're hyphenated. So fireman is called a closed compound noun. Water bottle is called an open compound noun, and ice axe is called a hyphenated compound noun. Let's throw one more up. Let's throw the word team up. Well, it's not an abstract noun. You can see it, so it's a concrete noun. Now this time it is a collective noun because it represents a group of things, like a group of players, for example. It's not a compound noun. It is a countable noun. You can have teams. That means it can't be a non-countable noun. And it's not gender specific. So these nouns can be further classified as one of those 7 types of noun. And we have a separate video on the types of noun. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the link in the description. And if you're watching this on Grammar Monster, there's a link to it beneath this video. Now there are 2 other common types of noun, but they're a bit too technical for this video. A noun can be a gerund, and that's a noun formed from a verb, and it ends ing. For example, developing, from the verb to develop. And you can have a verbal noun, and that's also formed from a verb, but it has no verb-like traits like a gerund does. For example, development, also from the verb to develop. Okay, we're not going to talk about the types of noun. There's a separate video for that. But I'm just going to put this slide up from that video. And this could be enough for you. It gives 3 examples of each type and a short explanation about what each type is. Okay, that's enough about the types of noun. Let's go back to our 3 original nouns, girl, house and pair. Now, nouns usually appear in noun phrases. So in a sentence, you wouldn't normally see the word girl by itself. You'd probably see it in a noun phrase. A happy girl. So here we have 2 modifiers, a and happy. But we still have our head noun, girl. So that's a noun phrase. And the word house wouldn't appear by itself usually. It might be something like the house in the corner. That's another noun phrase. It's modified by the word the and the prepositional phrase in the corner. Tells us which house. And the word pear might appear in a phrase something like 2 juicy pears. Okay, let's put another pair up there just to make that a bit more accurate. So nouns usually appear in noun phrases. There's more detail on that on the webpage. The other thing we need to talk about is how nouns function, and a noun can function as a subject of a sentence. So let's take the house in the corner. The house in the corner is for sale. Here, the noun phrase is the subject of that verb, the verb to be, is. Let's get rid of that. A noun can function as an object. So let's take the 2 juicy pears example. Select 2 juicy pears. Or select is our verb, and 2 juicy pears is the direct object of that verb. Again, there's more on the webpage. A noun can function as a complement. So let's take a happy girl. Rachel is a happy girl. Here we have Rachel, which is a proper noun as the subject, is the verb, and the subject complement is a happy girl. It's a noun phrase. So nouns can function as subjects, objects, or complements. Okay, that's all I want to say about nouns in this video, but I do want to leave you with this picture. So remember, a noun is the word for a person, place, or thing. It's the word that lets us talk about that thing. You can have common nouns with lowercase letters, unless it starts a sentence, and proper nouns with uppercase letters. And this is a key point. Do not give your common nouns capital letters just because they're important words in your sentence. And that is the point I want to end on. Hopefully now you've got a feel for what nouns are. That's all. Thanks for watching.